The man that is well fed fights because he can beat, but the man that is hungry only fights to defend himself. Welcome to section 13 of chapter 3 of the Holy Quran. Chapter 13 begins with sign 121. Namshi. Is Gadota min ahlika? Is Gadota min ahlika tabawiyun al-mu'minina mukaidan lil kitali mukaida lil kitali. Remember the morning, and that is in brackets. Remember the morning is in brackets. Without it, we start away. Thou didst leave the household early. Early is also in brackets. So without the early, it again reads, thou didst leave the household. What is Gadauta min Ahlika, the household, to post the faithful to their stations. Oh no, I'm reading the Arabic first. Li, no, li Ahlika, tabawiyun al-mu'minina maka ida lil qitali. And that is to post the faithful at their stations for battle lil qitali. Wallahu sami'un alimun. Wallahu sami'un alimun. And God heareth and knoweth all things. There is a note to read, 442, and it's against station for battle. Maka idal lil kitali. 442. Wow, it's a long verse. Sorry, it's a long note, which I read it all the same. The Battle of Uhud was a great testing time for the young Muslim community. Full stop. Their mettle and the wisdom and strength of their leader were shown in the Battle of Badr. Chapter 3, sign 13. We've gone past it. And note, brackets close. In the Battle of Badr, in which the Meccan pagans suffered a crushing defeat. The Meccans were determined to wipe off their disgrace and to annihilate the Muslims in Medina. Full stop. To this end, they collected a large force and marched to Medina. They numbered some 3,000 fighting men under Abu Sufyan. Abu Sufyan, I remember he's the uncle of the prophet. So you can imagine, people say the prophet was a warmonger, but he was fighting his own people. What's wrong with that? Who were determined to annihilate him. Okay, they numbered some 3,000 fighting men. They numbered some 3,000 fighting men under Abu Sufyan, and they were so confident of victory that their menfolk came with them. Sorry, their womenfolk came with them. So only women would, in those days, would only go to war if there is assurance that their men were going to win. All right. That their womenfolk came with them and showed the most shameful savagery after the battle. Full stop. To meet the threatened danger of the messenger of God, Muhammad al-Mustafa, with his usual foresight, courage, and initiative, resolved to take his station at the foot of Mount Uhud, which dominates the city of Medina. So Uhud is in Medina, which dominates the city of Medina, some 3 miles to the north. Full stop. Early in the morning, on the 7th of Shawwal, AH3, into brackets, January 6, 25, brackets close, he made his dispositions for battle. Medina, Medina winters are notoriously rigorous, but the warriors of Islam, 700 to 1,000 in number, you can imagine, against 3,000, 700 to 1,000 in number, as against 3,000 of Abu Sufyan's army. 700 to 1,000 in number, brackets close, were up early, full stop. A torrent bed was to their south, and the passes in the hills at their back were filled with 50 archers to prevent the enemy attack from the rear. Full stop. The enemy were set the task of attacking the walls of Medina with the Muslims at their rear. Full stop. In the beginning, the battle went well for the Muslims. Full stop. But enemy wavered. Sorry, for the Muslims. The enemy, not but. The enemy wavered, but the Muslim archers, in disobedience of their orders, left their posts to join in the pursuit and share in the booty, sorry, that's the beauty. Do I repeat it? The enemy wavered, but the Muslim archers, in disobedience of their orders, left their post to join in the pursuit and share in their booty. Full stop. There was also treachery on the part of the 300 hypocrites. Hypocrites is inverted commas. 300 hypocrites led by Abdullah bin Ubay, or Abdullah bin Ubay, led by Abdullah bin, or led by Abdullah, it's led by Abdullah bin Ubay, who deserted. Hmm. The enemy took advantage of the opening left by the archers, and there was severe hand-to-hand fighting in which numbers told in favor of the enemy. Full stop. Many of the companions and helpers were killed. Oh my God. That's companions of the prophet, were killed. Full stop. But there was no rout. Full stop. Among the Muslim martyrs was the gallant Hamza, a brother of the prophet's father, Abdullah. A brother of the prophet's father. That's Hamza is the prophet's uncle. Full stop. The graves of the martyrs are still shown at Uhud, that is in Medina. The messenger himself was wounded in his head and face, and one of his front teeth was broken. Full stop. Had it not been for his firmness, courage, and coolness, all would have been lost. Full stop. As it was, the prophet, in spite of his wound, and many of the wounded Muslims, inspired by his example, returned to the field next day after the wounding. Returned to the field next day. And Abu Sufyan and his Meccan army thought it was prudent to withdraw, of course, because they had wounded him. Full stop. Medina was saved, but a lesson in faith, constancy, but a lesson in faith, constancy, firmness, and steadiness was learnt by the Muslims. And that was note 442 to Psalm 121 of section 3. Let's go to Psalm 122. وَإِذْ هَمَّتْ ta'ifatani minkum. وَإِذْ هَمَّتْ طَائِفَتَانِ minkum. Remember, hmm, two of your parties meditated cowardice. Hammat, meditated cowardice. Ta'ifatani minkum. Two parties, two of your parties minkum. An tafshalan, wallahu waliyuhuma, and tafshalan, wallahu waliyuhuma. A meditated cowardice, but God was their protector. Meditated cowardice is here, and tafshalan, versus is hammat ta'ifatani minkum and tafshalan, meditated cowardice. Wallahu waliyuhuma, but God was their protector. The two parties, was their protector. Wa ala Allahi falyatawakkalu. Wallahu wa ala Allahi falyatawakkalli al mu'minun. And in God should the faithful ever put their trust. Ever is in brackets without the ever it reads. And in God should the faithful put their trust. Lillahu fayatawakkalli al mu'minun. There is a note to read, 443. It's against ta'ifatani, two parties, ta'ifatani, two parties, 443. The two parties wavering in their minds were probably the Banu Salma Hazraji, and the Banu Haritha. Banu Salma Haraji and Banu Haritha. Haraji is spelled K-H, that's Arabic. Ha. It's spelled Khazragi, Haraji. And Banu Haritha is spelled H-A, lengthened A, Ritha. But they rallied under the prophet's inspiration. Full stop. That incident shows that man may be weak, but if he allows his weak will to be governed by the example of men of God, he may yet retrieve his weakness. And that was note 443 to sign 122. Pardon me, 422. We now go to sign 123. Walakat nasarakum Allahu bi badrin. Walakat nasarakum Allahu bi badrin. God had helped you in Badr. That's the war of Badr. In Badr. Bi badrin. Wa antum azillatun. Wa antum azillatun. God had helped you in Badr when you were helpless. Azillatun. Or while you were helpless. Azillatun. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Then fear God, اتقوا Allah, thus ye may show gratitude. Please remember, this English was written, I think, at least decades back. And so that ye may show gratitude la'allakum tashkurun. We have a note there 444 against showing gratitude. 444. 444. Gratitude to God is not to be measured by words. It should show itself in conduct and life. Full stop. If all the Muslims had learned the true lesson from the victory at Badr, their archers would not have left the post appointed for them, nor the two tribes mentioned in the last note ever wavered in their faith. Let's go to sign 124. وإذ تقول للمؤمنين أن لن يكفيكم أن يميدكم ربكم. ربكم. Let's stop there. Remember, thou said to the faithful mu'mineen, is it not enough for you that God should help you? That God should help you. I think that's where we'll Rabbakum. That God should help you be Rabbakum be talatatin ala fin min malaikati munzalin. Let me take it again. Is تقول للمؤمنين أن لا يكفيكم أن يميدكم ربكم بثلاثة بثلاثة آلاف من الملائكة منزلين. Remember, thou said to the faithful, is it not enough for you that God should help you with 3,000 angels? بثلاثة من الملائكة, with 3,000 angels, especially sent down. The word, no, specially sent down. The word specially is in brackets. Without it, it simply reads with 3,000 angels sent down with a question mark. Let's go to 447. It's against angels being sent down. 445 rather. Let's go to 445. Note 445. Read verse 124 with the following 5 verses to get its full signification. Read verse read verse 124 with the following 5 verses to get its full signification. So following five verses, that will be up to 124 up to 129. And this was okay. We've already started 124 and just sent down. Let's go to 125 up to 129, and I think 129 ends there. Ends the section, yes. So let's get to the end of the section. Let's read 125 to the end of the section. Bala in tasbiru wa tataku wa yatukum min furihim haza yamidukum rabikum bi khamsatin alafin min al malaikati musawwimin marked. Musawimin means marked. marked. Musawimin. Yeah, that's Bala, comma, and then dash. If you remain firm in tasbaru, if ye remain firm and act right, and act right, watataku, wayatukum min furim, and act right, even if the enemy should rush here on you in hotches. Eh? Wa ويأتيكم من فورهم هذا يم sorry يمددكم ربكم بخمسة آلاف من ملائكة مسومين. The enemy, sorry, even if the enemy should rush here on you in hot haste, your Lord would help you with 5,000 angels. Hamsatan malaikata min al malaikata will five. Hamsatan min al malaikata with 5,000 angels clearly marked. Clearly marked. Musa, we mean. 446 is the note to this sign 125. 446 is against Musawimin. Musawimin. It's like something is mean, a mean fellow. Musawimin. Clearly marked. 446. That's it. Musawimin in italics and then colon. This is the active voice of the verb. This is the active voice of the verb. So this is the active voice of the verb, not to be confused with the passive voice in 314. So Musawin, the passive voice can be found in 314, which has a different signification. I don't know if you can check 314, which has a different signification. Musawin, 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 314. Where possible, we shall do the reference together. Where there is no time, you do it alone. Musawin 314. زين للناس حبا شهوات من النساء والبنين والقناطر مقنطرة من الذهب والفضة والخيل musawamatin. So we've got the musawin, which is the one is active voice, the other is what voice? Active voice and whatnot. So we've got the word musawamatin. So musawamatin, musawin. This is the active voice of the verb, not to be confused with the passive. So the passive is musamawatin. Musamawatin. So we've done the comparison, which has a different signification. Let's go to the next sign let's go to the next sign, which is sign 126. وما جعله الله إلا بشرى لكم. وما جعله الله إلا بشرى لكم. God made it but a message of hope for you. Message of hope is bushra lakum, for you. Bushra lakum. Walitatmina kulubukum. Walitatmina kulubikum bihi. And an assurance to your hearts, column. But then there is, in any case, in brackets after that, colon and hearts. Then the next, In any case, there is no victory except from God. Mm. وَمَا النَّصْرُ إِلَّا مِنْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ عَزِيزٌ Hakim. In any case, that is in brackets, there is no victory except from God, the exalted, the wise, the exalted, the wise. Uh, Note 447. Note 447. Let's go there. It's against God exalted and wise. God being exalted, God the exalted, the wise. 447. Whatever happens, whether there is a miracle or not, all help proceeds from God. Man should not be arrogant as to suppose that his own resources will change the current of the world plan. But does man even have resources? Huh? His own resources will change the current of the world plan. Full stop. God helps those who show constancy, courage, and discipline and use all the human means at their disposal, not those who fold their hands and have no faith. Full stop. But God's help is determined. Yes, but God's help is determined on considerations exalted far above our pretty human motives and by perfect wisdoms of which we can have only faint glimpses. And that's note 447 to sign 126. Let's go to sign 127. Uh, ليقطع طرفا من الذين كفروا, that ye might cut off. Yukta'a, cut off, that you might cut off a fringe of the believers. Liyukta'a, tarifan, mina lazina kafaru, tarifan, a fringe, tarifan, a fringe of the believers, mina lazina kafaru. Aw yakbitukum, aw yakbitakum, aw yakbitakum, fayankalibu ha fayankalibu ha ibina, a fringe of the believers, or expose them to infirmity, or expose them to infamy, or expose them to infamy, and they should then be turned back, frustrated of their purpose. Yankalebu turned back, ha ibina, frustrated in their effort. Note 448. Note 448. A fringe of the unbelievers, and that's in italics, is going to be explained here. An extremity, comma, an end, comma, either upper or lower, full stop. Here, it may mean that the chiefs of the Meccan pagans who had come to exterminate the Muslims with such confidence went back frustrated in their purpose, full stop. The shameless cruelty with which they and their women mutilated the Muslim corpses. Mutilated the Muslim corpses on the battlefield will stand recorded to their external infamy. Full stop. Perhaps it also exposed their real nature to some of those who fought for them, e.g., Khalid ibn al-Walid, Khalid ibn al-Walid. Khalid is spelled Kha, Lamfunt, then Lid, then Ibn, Ibn, al-Walid, capital Al dash capital Walid, Khalid ibn Walid, who not only accepted Islam afterwards, but became one of the most notable champions of Islam. So there are people who are called Khalid. Mm. So they were again most personalities, or most personalities, most of the prophets even fought Islam and then joined Islam later. It's still happening today. Champions of Islam. He was with the Muslims in the conquest of Mecca and later on won distinguished honors in Syria and Iraq. That was note 448 to sign 127. Let's go to sign 128. ليس لك من الأمر شيء ليس من الأمر شيء not for thee, into brackets, but for God, not for Muhammad, but for God, is the decision al-amr, is the decision al-amr shay'an. أو أو يتوب عليهم أو يعذبهم فإنهم ظالمون. أو يتوب عليهم أو يعذبهم أو يعذبهم فإنهم ظالمين. Whether you turn in mercy to them, Yetuba alayhim, in mercy to them, or punish them, or you azibahum, or punish them, for they are indeed wrongdoers. Innahum zalimun, they are indeed wrongdoers. 449 is the note. 449 against wrongdoers. 449. Uhud is as much as a signpost for Islam as Badr. Full stop. For us in these latter days, it carries an ever greater lesson. Full stop. God's help will come if we have faith, obedience, discipline, unity, and the spirit of acting in righteousness and justice. Full stop. If we fail, His mercy is always open to us. Full stop. But it is also open to our enemies. A wonderful God. So while His mercy is open to us, it's just like throwing coins for anybody to pick. Other Muslims speak or enemies speak or other one party, anybody to pick up. Okay. If we fail, His mercy is always open to us, but it is open to our enemies and those who seem to us His enemies. It's open to His mercy is open. His mercy is always open to us, but it is also open to our enemies and those who seem to us His enemies, God's enemies. Okay, His plan may be to bring sinners to repentance and to teach us righteousness and wisdom through those who seem, in our eyes, to be rebellious or even defiant. Full stop. There may be good in them that He sees, and we do not. There may be good in them that He sees, and we do not. Dash and comma and dash. A humbling thought that must lead to our own self-examination and self-improvement. That's note 449 to sign 128. We now go to the last sign, 125. 129, the last sign. 129. To satisfy our curiosity of reading 124 to 129. So we now go to sign 129. Mm. وَلِلَّهِ مَا فِي سَمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. And to God, okay, and is omitted here. Anyway, to God belongeth all that is in the heavens and on earth. Ma fi samawati wa ma fi al-ard. Yakfiru liman yasha'a. Yakfiru liman yasha'a. He forgiveth whom he pleaseth. Yakfiru liman yasha'a. Yakfiru liman yasha'u. Sorry. Yakfiru liman yasha'u. It's not yasha'a. Bad Arabic. يغفر لمن يشاء ويعذب man يشاء and punisheth whom he pleaseth. يعذب man يشاء and pleaseth whom he sorry and punisheth whom he pleaseth. Punishes whom he pleaseth. I think I'm beginning to feel sleepy. Anyway, let's finish it. Wallahu gafurun rahim. Wallahu gafurun rahimun. But God is oft forgiving, most merciful. But God is oft forgiving, most merciful. And that is sign 129 without any note. The last note was 449, and that was to sign 128. Now we've finished section 13. When we come back in our next video, God willing, we shall go to section 14, which begins with sign 130. Thank you very much. May God bless you all. Ila laka ibaba. Au revoir.